So just a tiny little bit of history. A gentleman named Rick Hessel, who has made accessories for a couple of different car lines and became a fairly early Tesla owner, and was making the accessories. Probably his most famous is the lighted T. So yeah, he is art side on the boards. So the lighted rear T that will light up red and come on with your brake lights and parking lights, and the lighted front T that will light up white. Those were all made by Rick. Now when the car comes from the factory, it has an applique on the back of it that has raised lettering, and you can see a very similar applique on the Model X there, and that's it. And that raised lettering is extremely hard to see in any sunlight or from any distance or anything like that. So Rick was marching down the road of doing a water jet cut, and the one in my hand is a factory part that has been water jet cut, and taking that water jet cut and inserting 3D printed plastic letters in them. And so I have just the T here, and when you insert that, and what Rick was going to do was just put an LED panel behind it. And that LED panel was going to come on with the brake lights and the parking lights. And I saw some information from Rick and contacted him and said, hey Rick, would you like to animate that? Would you like to do scrolling turn signals and reverse lights and things like that? And he said, oh no, way too complicated. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what, if I can send you a video of a prototype in 24 hours, are you interested in talking? And he said yes, and my company prototyped it, and we sent him the video, and we had further discussions, and we reached a commercial arrangement. And now the evappliques.com, and evappliques.com is on these little business cards if you're interested. Rick does all the mechanical assembly, etc., and I want to talk more about that in a minute. And we do all the electronics and supply them to Rick. So what does it do? Well, it lights up behind the letters. Well, what can you do with it lit up behind the letters? Well, you can do some things with it parked. So it also has a Bluetooth interface and an application that runs on either your iPhone or your Android phone. We cover any of those two. And you can use that to do immediate things to it. You can immediately switch it over to things like we talk about random mode, aka disco mode. You can have it scroll like KIT, which was what it was doing before, for those who remember the old KIT on the television show Knight Rider. And so you can have it scroll like KIT. You can have it fade between Tesla and S because it's a Tesla Model S. And there's a couple other things it'll do. Now, any of those things you can command with your phone, or you can set it so that they'll start automatically 3 minutes after the car parks and you walk away. So any of the immediate commands that we just showed, the KIT scroll, things like that, you can say auto display the KIT scroll. Walk away from the car, and after a couple of minutes it does that.
Can you sync it with a brake light?
As soon as you walk back up to the car, whatever you do with brake lights, turn signals, etc., it instantly flips itself over into street legal mode. So it will, in fact, sync with the brake lights, the parking lights, the turn signals, the reverse lights, and so on and so forth.
If you signal left, does it go this way?
Oh yeah,
right to left?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it goes with the flashers too, right?
Yeah. It does not flash with the emergency flashers for legal reasons.
Is that an OEM Tesla plate?
Yeah, so
it's just behind the actual
yeah.
plate?
So the question was, is that an OEM plate? We have shipped about 100 of these to various folks on the basis of taking a factory part, water jet cutting it, etc. That was the biggest limitation. People have waited months and months and months for these because they're hard to get. We've swapped with owners. They send them in. We send them another one. We bought parts at service centers all over the country. To get around that limitation, we just recently started making our own part, which I do not have to show you because we've shipped them all to customers, out of aluminum. And so we now make this part ourselves out of aluminum instead of plastic. And that is our generation 2. And it is available in polished chrome and is also available pre-painted for any of the factory paint colors. And I do not have them all memorized. but what all the different factory paint colors, and somebody I know is going to ask, what about the signature colors? And I honestly don't know. Rick does all the painting. I'm the electronics guy, and so if you look at the evappliques.com website, you can find it. So if you order today, you will get the aluminum part. You'll get the Gen 2 part. And one of the little bits of trivia about this is the factory part has a plastic window over your reverse lights, and they've had all kinds of fogging problems because it doesn't seal right. Our aluminum part has that just open. We don't have a plastic part over that on purpose so that there's no fog problem. So if you order today, you can get the aluminum, and you can get it in chrome or you can get it painted to match your car, your choice.
Have you tested out if you leave it on a night rider mode, how much the battery drains without being plugged in 24 hours?
Yes, so the question was, if you leave it on in night rider mode, what's your range loss per day? It's about 1 mile.
Really?
Yeah.
But then what about,
Yeah. About 1 mile per day.
that's pretty good.
Roughly. We do recommend your installer, or you can self-install, or if you're in the Dallas area, I can help you. We do recommend that you install the control module for this behind that so it's accessible if it ever needs to be maintained. You know, it shouldn't need to be maintained, but if something happens to it, you can just unplug it and swap the control module. So we found out. Control module.
I think they made it.
What we do, there's actually 2 versions of this. This is a water jet cut of the factory applique within a 3D plastic letter that we make inserted into. And so we can definitely do that with the next applique. Our generation 2 is an all aluminum part. And I actually don't have one with me because we sent them all to customers. We sent our first run all to customers.
But would you have it so it says signature on there? Probably not. Right?
No, but we could potentially water jet cut yours after we're confident that literal one right there. Take it off, water jet cut that part of it, and return it to you. After we're confident that we can do excellence.
Sounds complicated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we do with all of them. We take the customer's thing, water jet cut it, do the inserts, do the electronics, and return it. Normally we swap them so that you don't have to not have it on the back of your car.
So this is the actual size of the Tesla. So yeah, this is bigger.
Yep. And so, you know,
Oh, I got it at an aftermarket place.
and then it's got a Bluetooth interface where you
I'll
can
get
to me earlier. Thank you. Some people were talking to me earlier, and this is phenomena of me being the electronics guy and Rick running the front end of the company. I misquoted. They are $885 plus installation. Now, installation is up to you. You can self-install. You can hire a car audio shop. You folks that we're talking to right now in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I will help. Now let me repeat that word, H, E. That does not mean I will install. Install starts with an I. I will help. And if you want to do a self-install, and seriously, that can give you the confidence to do a self-install in places where you weren't. In terms of what it takes to install it, just toss those in there, trying to make it where stuff won't fall
What
off.
would be the price if we wanted a contract? We don't trust them.
We'll talk.
Okay.
So what it takes to install it is you have to get the factory applique off, and there is double-sided tape under this end. So you take fishing line or dental floss and you cut that tape. And once you do that, literally what you do is what I'm going to do right here. You take it, you grab it, and you pop it. And everybody goes, oh my God, you're breaking the plastic. And what you're doing is literally taking your fingers and popping that applique out. Now there won't be a wire in the factory. You take that out, you put the new one in, etc. This little piece of plastic has to come off the car so you won't scratch your car, and cut a little bit of it out to make room. So when it comes from the factory right here, it looks like it does right there. And you cut that out, and then you thread the wire in there, and you put the new applique on, and you do the double-sided tape.
Thread the wire, where do you connect it?
Okay, where does the wire connect? You don't have to, but we highly recommend you install the control module behind this handle so that if you ever need to get to it to maintain it, it's easier than pulling off a bunch of trim. You can just have it behind this handle. Yep. Now, when you do the install, one time only when you install, you're going to pull both of these handles. You're going to pull all of this trim right here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. And this fourth piece is one big piece that has your rear speakers in it and all that stuff. So pull that out. And then to reach the wiring that it has to interface to and power, you're eventually going to run a wire through here, which means you're going to pull this, this, and this. And that's it. Those 3 things.
And do they all pop out,
Yeah,
in and out, similar to the way the
Yeah, there's a few screws, like when you pull this first piece of trim here,
Yeah.
there's a couple of screws,
To loosen the next
and
2 pieces.
there's one screw that I have my finger on right here, and things. Everything else pops in and out.
Pop and pop.
Yep. And I got to tell you, now we have a great big instruction thing with a lot of pictures, and it has all the wiring color codes, and we send in the kit. That's the wrong one. Somewhere. You know, it will come with a pre-stubbed wiring harness, so you don't have to mess with any of the fancy connectors. These can all be just joined with other wires and things, so you don't have to mess with any of the damage. And we also send a connector for the other end of the wire that taps in, so you don't have to cut or tape or anything like that, anything in your car. And these aren't those cheap crap squeezy things. These are stainless steel pin threaded connectors that tap in and etc. So you pull all that trim, you pull that trim, you tap into the wires and put it all, test it, put it all on, and you're done. Now, we generally recommend either double taping or Velcroing or something, you know, or padding or something. Again, this being a development car, I've got it where I can haul it out and show it to people at a moment's notice, and that kind of thing. But you tape it in there. Because I will tell you, when I, now, oh, handle's the wrong way. You got to watch the super professional. All right, come on. That's the other reason why you take it in there. Okay, once you have it up there, the super professional, years of training to do this. Body technique. Okay, years of training.